Hello and welcome to another episode of the Next Iteration podcast. Today we are talking about how companies tend to rely too heavily on hiring when they do sense a gap in their tech leadership. But what's really needed is that companies should be investing much more in building tech leadership amongst their existing folks, amongst their current employees. That will lead to much better results and much faster results as well. So that's what we are going to talk about. Um, so maybe open with that question, Akshay. Hiring seems like the right solution. I don't have enough tech leaders in my organization. I feel like I need more tech leaders. So most companies, most leaders in technology will say, I should talk to my recruiters and get them to get great talent in. So what's wrong with that?
Yeah, that's what could go wrong, right? It's a very easy and a very natural reaction, and lots of people fall prey to this. We've seen it umpteen number of times with a lot of organizations that we work with, and I think the expectation is that hiring is like buying something. Like you go buy a new laptop, and then this laptop is there, with the latest technology and with like 64 GB RAM and Intel i9 and whatnot, and now you're suddenly able to benefit from it. And so that's, I think, the expectation with which we go into hiring, and we say that, okay, I'm going to hire people to solve this capability gap that I have, this hole in my organization. I'm going to fill it with someone from the market. But what happens is that people are not like laptops, and so it is very very difficult to actually hire, and especially in a market like India. We have a lot of experience in the India market, so we'll talk from that context. It might be a little different elsewhere, but from what we know about global tech talent, I think a lot of these trends are very real. um, so what happens is that, first of all, it is very very difficult to find the right people. um, you are looking for specific experience. The talent pool is pretty small, uh, especially since we are talking about tech leadership. Most tech leads are well, um, how do you say, they're treated quite well
Pampered.
in their, they're pampered. Maybe that's the right word. Yeah, they're pampered in their current organizations, right? And so I don't think they're looking for a change. If everything is going well, they are probably not looking for a change. And the people that you need are the ones where everything is going well, and who have had a good track record of being a good tech lead. So that pool is pretty small, and creating a pipeline of these this passive talent and then tapping into that pool and getting them ready to have a conversation is difficult. Now in a market like India, uh, even if you find the right candidate, let's say that you do the evaluation, and you make an offer, the offer gets accepted, you still have 2 months to wait until this person joins, because most organizations have at least a 1 month, mostly a 2 month notice period. We've even seen some organizations have a 3 month notice period, and so there's that you have to deal with. So there's a lot of wait time associated with hiring. And really speaking, even that's not the end of it, because after waiting for 2 months, you, in 40 to 45% of the situations, you might find that this person who has accepted the offer is not going to turn up, because within that 2 month notice period, they have also talked to other organizations and they've made a decision to join some other organization, which is perfectly within their rights. But it puts you back on square one, and now you have to start building your pipeline again. And so this is a very very costly and time consuming affair. And let's say that you're hiring to start a new project, you're pushing your ability to start that new project by at least 6 to 9 months, for you to be able to hire this person, and then for them to become productive inside your organization. Because the other thing is that you're not going to get ready made talent. And ready made has a pretty deep connotation in the tech leadership space. uh, So you might think, oh, I want to hire a Java developer, and you can imagine that you will get a ready-made Java developer, in the sense that they are able to build Java code, and they know the syntax, and they are able to write some code on day one. You could possibly expect that. But for a tech lead, uh, you need a bunch of craft competencies. Like, you need them to understand architectural patterns deeply, and to be able to understand tech debt and engineering practices deeply. But not only that, each of these things actually involve uh, cultural navigation and political navigation for that to become a reality in an organization. So there's this tech lead that has worked in organization A, and they have figured out how to implement engineering practices, or how to make sure that they are having meaningful conversations with business stakeholders about tech debt. Um, but that doesn't mean that all of their experience will translate to your organization. And so they will take another 3 to 6 months after joining to get settled in your organization, to really be productive, to understand how your culture works and your politics works. And so you're not going to be able to plug that hole that you were looking to plug very easily. So it's very easy to say that, hey, that's a recruitment problem, that recruitment team should do better to find better candidates. um, but what is happening is that it's actually you who are suffering as a technology leader, right? Because you are not able to start new work, you're not able to do more complex work for your clients, and so you are at a loss, because you've relied too heavily on hiring as the only way to fill this gap. So we urge you to rethink your strategy for fixing talent gaps in your organization. And our invitation is really to use the build lever to build capabilities in your organization. um, so do you want to tell us a little bit more about the build lever, Chirag? What does that
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, so so as opposed to hiring, which actually you were talking about that as people think I can just buy talent, and that talent can fit in into my organization and solve a bunch of problems. So that's the buy lever. So as opposed to that, the build lever is that could I invest time and energy with my existing uh, population, my current set of employees, to build up their technical leadership capabilities.
Right.
And this we've seen is often a blind spot for many organizations. I've come across so many organizations which who will of course have a fabulous recruitment team, like a
Hmm.
senior recruiter, and like a lead recruiter, and like a whole bunch of people in the recruitment space who are basically all focused on buying new talent and capabilities from the market. But like even medium-sized organizations could go on for years without having anybody in the organization whose job it is to wake up worrying about how can I build capabilities in my existing set of people.
Yeah.
And this happens, I think, because of mindset, two types of mindsets that are misplaced. One is that the one is of thinking about people in the organization as having a fixed set of capabilities. And so, like, they believe a Java developer is a Java developer, and Scala developer is a Scala developer, and that's it. I hired them to be that, and that's what they will be for foreseeable future.
Right.
And that's a very limiting way of looking at it. For that person, it's not a good way, because they will not be able to grow and get exposure to new technologies and new responsibilities in their career. So it's limiting for them, but it's also very limiting for the organization, because it's like you're looking at all your people from this that they are all static, and but in reality it'll pay off much more to have a growth mindset when it comes to your own people in the organization, to sort of expect. and to make things happen in the organization, that everybody, roughly every quarter, every 6 months, yeah, people are picking up new skills and new exposures and new experiences that is readying them to do more and different
Right.
things that they than they used to be doing earlier. So that's the, that's the fixed mindset versus growth mindset. That's one kind of shift that is important uh, for organizations to make, because otherwise you can almost believe that I can't do anything other than hiring from outside when I'm short of
Right.
capabilities.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think there's also this idea that so you talked about organizations looking at their employees as static set of capabilities, and so a Java developer is a Java developer, and that's it. But the other thing that also happens, which is a very prevalent mindset in organizations, is that they expect any kind of capability development to be the employee's responsibility, right? So people do their own capability development to advance their own careers, uh, and but the organization isn't looking at that that advance in their career as a benefit for itself. It is looking at it as something that only benefits the employee, and that I think creates an even more stark sort of conflict
mm,
between what the organization wants and what employees want, whereas actually there is a lot of alignment. And so
yeah,
just reframing that will help you see that alignment.
yeah. So in order to use like this second lever, the build lever, to be able to get more capabilities, in order to do that, what organizations need to do is invest in structured learning and growth opportunities for their teams. And what this looks like is that the organization is offering capability development programs to their people. It's offering leadership development programs, skill building opportunities, and that kind of structured learning. It's also part of the organization's culture to mentor and coach high potential employees in
Right.
teams, that there is signaling to the population that there's a career growth pathway that everybody can take, and they can put their hand up for leadership roles, and they'd be fairly evaluated for it and supported as they pick up a new role, and stuff like that. So the idea is that instead of leaving it to just the individual to somehow figure it out for themselves by themselves, that the ecosystem around them is also interested and involved in 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 helping them grow and learn new
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that this is not like a altruistic gesture on behalf of the organization, right? This is not something that you're doing as a favor to the employees for them to build new skills. You are being selfish about it, and you should be selfish about it. So these are skills aligned with your business strategy, and that will help plug the exact gaps that you're trying to plug through hiring. So if you spot tech leadership gaps, then leveraging the build lever to proactively build those capabilities inside the organization to very selfishly bridge those gaps is what we are suggesting. So this is not coming from the point of view of doing a favor uh, for for someone who could play that role.
Yeah.
I think one of the other things is also that for this to happen properly, you need to have a more holistic view of people's capabilities. And this is again something that is missing in organizations. And it's a matter of data, to be honest. Right? You might have hired someone as a developer for a particular technology, and that's fine. They can certainly do that job because that's what they've been hired for. But they also might have a bunch of other skills, maybe technical, maybe non-technical, Like they might be great at building relationships, or they might be great at storytelling, or they might be good at something else. And a lot of this is opaque to organizations because there is no method of capturing this data. So if you personally know someone and you know that that person is good at storytelling, of course you might give them that opportunity or encourage them to play a different kind of a role in the team. But that is limited to tacit knowledge about people. um, More organizational memory of people's holistic capabilities is something that is sorely missing in the industry right now, and which limits you from taking advantage of the workforce that you currently have, and understanding your own talent portfolio more deeply, so that you can leverage it to fix some of these leadership some of these capability gaps that you're seeing. And so in absence of that kind of data and knowledge about your own workforce, it is very easy to then say, hey, I just need to go and hire because this is not something that I have in my organization, because you don't know that you have it in your organization or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, focusing on the build lever, at least in equal measure to the buy lever, is
Right.
is an important is an important thing that most organizations, in our opinion, are missing out on. And with that, they are missing out on a huge bunch of benefits that the build lever provides. So when you focus on helping your existing folks pick up new skills and pick up higher level of technical leadership skills, it just yields results much faster and in a much more cost effective way, right? Because these are folks who've been around in the organization for a couple of years. They understand the ecosystem, they understand the domain, they have relationships
Right.
here, they have credibility. They have a lot of things that already make them great fits for leadership roles and for stretch roles in the organization. And so if you, through these structured learning programs and coaching and like these kinds of mechanisms, you're just able to fill in that gap for them to reach a higher level of confidence to pick up that role, then they readily, like within weeks, can start to deliver uh, in the new roles, rather than waiting for months or sometimes quarters for a new person to get identified and join you and then get assimilated in the organization.
Right. Yeah, I think it just like you said, one is productivity. It's also just a stronger cultural fit, because people are very they already know the organization, they already know what works and what doesn't, or what is encouraged and what is discouraged in the organization, so they know how to navigate the organization as well, which is crucial to their new responsibilities.
Mm.
And so yeah, I think it just makes life easy for the team and the employee, if they are able to play that role through internal capability development.
Right. And of course, like one obvious positive uh, impact benefit that comes out of investing in people's growth and development is that they would they would their satisfaction, their sense of involvement, sense of connection with the organization will be that much more higher. So you'll just have happier employees, being able to collaborate better, have better ideas, just be more resilient through ups and downs of the organization. And you'll see higher levels of retention and all of those good things as well. So um, from an all-round perspective, investing in the build lever is a no-brainer, and yet somehow organizations don't seem to see it in the same, as something that is as important, if not more important than hiring.
Yeah, I feel like the other part to this is also whose responsibility is it, and I feel like as technology leaders, it is your responsibility to really do something about this. You could say that, okay, this is L&D's responsibility, and there might be an L&D department in your organization, uh, but in a world where technologists themselves are finding it hard to keep up with what is going on, in the technology landscape, it is very absurd to expect L&D to be able to keep up with it and strategize how they will be able to use this lever to actually fix the gaps in the organization. And so, as technology leaders, you know the gaps well, and you know what shape of an employee internally might be able to fix that gap. And so, the onus in that sense is really on technology leadership. It's also, we just want to call out that this is not a either or situation. So you will use the hiring lever for certain kind of capabilities for sure, uh, because sometimes you just don't have capabilities or the right mindset inside the organization. Let's say that you're a bank and you're trying to move into a more product mindset, and that is just something very difficult to cultivate inside the organization out of thin air. And you really need someone who has lived that life in a real product organization to come in and bring those capabilities into your organization. But and so in those situations you would certainly use the buy lever. But what we are saying is that you need to very judiciously also use the build lever while thinking of your talent strategy. And so that's our invitation.